Hello, this is the Real Agent P, and I'm coming at you today with a video about DNF Duel and my main, Vanguard. Now, Vanguard is considered one of, if not the worst characters in this game. And you know what? People aren't wrong about that in some cases. But I want to try to highlight some of the good things about the character, and then we're going to talk about some of the bad things about the character, and then we're going to look at what can be done to fix the character and what I think would be some good routes to buff this character in a meaningful way that would really impact his playstyle. So for those of you that aren't familiar with Vanguard, his gimmick in this game is that he can chain all of his special moves together. So all of his slashes, he can just chain those together. Him and Striker are the only two characters in the game that can currently chain multiple specials together in that way. Now, the thing that him and Striker don't have in common is that he cannot go from his A to B to special like she can, and like every other character in the cast can. He has to go from A to B to magic, and then he has to use all of his specials alone. That comes at a benefit and a detriment to him, because by chaining all of his specials together, he can just throw out some insane damage. And if you can get the hits where you need to get the hits, then you can realistically two-touch someone in a match. Now, it also makes his block strings a little bit shorter, but he can delay the special buttons by quite a bit and leave some frame traps, some gaps in there, so you can punish reversals. And you know, it's a double-edged sword in the fact that it's really good, but it could be better. But we're talking about the good right now, and like I said, the main thing that he really does is just throw out damage. If you're able to use conversion correctly and keep your opponent on guard, he is very good at guard breaking. That is supposed to be his gimmick, even though I don't think he's the best character at doing guard breaks in the game. But his awakening does allow you to deal additional guard break damage, and it really goes a long way to guard breaking someone in 2 block strings. Realistically, if you can keep them pinned down for 2 entire block strings, you're gonna guard break him. Obviously, another big feather in his cap is his range. Just the range on his buttons, all of them are just crazy good. His jump M or jump B, however you want to look at it, is fantastic. His 5B is really good. His 2B hits from half the screen away. And is really good against any kind of counters or counter DPs, you know, anything like that, like a grappler, crusader. He can just reach out and touch them without having too much of an issue. And then all of his special moves, his slashes, so I'm just going to be referring to him for the rest of the video, they have insane range on them too. And his 4S will actually like vacuum in a character, so if you do get that hit, you can really easily convert. His 6S just has monster range on it. All of his magic moves just have great range on them. So you know, range is definitely what he's looking for and what he excels at. But again, in this game, having you know, just really good buttons is not enough to set you apart from all of the cast. So those are some things that he just really excels at in the game. Now let's look at some things that he has some issue with. Like I mentioned earlier, the fact that he cannot go from A to B to special into magic, that hinders him quite a bit, because all of his quick buttons are, you know, his A's are his quickest buttons. So if he gets a hit, like, he has to spin to do a lot of damage. So he is very magic dependent, just because to get any kind of good conversions, any kind of good hit confirmations, you are going to have to spend some magic on. So he is very magic dependent. So if he's out of magic, then he's not going to be able to do much. He's not going to be able to pressure as much. And he's going to be a lot easier to get around. Now, speaking of his fast buttons, his fastest button is 7 frames, and that is his 2A, which is so short and so stubby for a character that's supposed to be long range. Like, I understand balancing the long range with the slower buttons, but like, if his fastest move is 7 frames and it's that button and it's that short, just make it 5 frames. I mean, make it a 5 framer like all the other characters that have that short of button, but are, you know, supposed to be like their fast button. His 5A comes at 9 frames, which is realistically the one that you're going to be using the most. And it's what you're going to be panic mashing. So like, the fact that it's 9 frames, it's almost twice as slow as like Swiftmaster, Kunoichi, Strikers, all of their fastest buttons. You know, you're going to get beat out. So he doesn't really have a good way to mash out of pressure, which I know is not something you're supposed to do all the time, but sometimes it's the right move. But with him, you just kind of got to hold it. A lot of times whenever he gets pressured, you just have to hold it, because aside from the slow buttons that he has, his Dragon Punch, his DP, his reversal, whatever you want to call it, is, my opinion, the worst in the game. It misses on like every crouching opponent there is, even Crusader standing in front of him, crouching, he can miss on him. It will miss on some standing attacks. I've had like Enchantress standing attack me. I've had Striker standing attacking me, and just the way that their hurtbacks interacts with the hitbox of the DP, it just completely whiffs, and it goes like, their attack goes through me, so the invincibility comes through, but then they recover so much faster, and I just get punished. And it also is really bad against characters that are right on top of you, as far as like above you, because then it's just, it doesn't hit. So that is a really bad thing for him, is that he just, that DP, except if you're at a certain angle and you're looking to anti-air, then it's kind of just a non-use move, unless you know that they're just gonna come up and try to like punch you in the face. And as I said before, he is very dependent on his magic meter, and that goes for more than just using his magic button. That goes for guard canceling as well. He is one of those characters that you have to know when to guard cancel against everybody, so that you're not going to get baited into it, because one, that is one of the only ways that he has to get people off of him, and 2, it's not a great guard cancel either. Like, it has the same animation as his 2S, which is his anti-air slash, and the hitbox on it is not great. So if they're too far out, or they're doing a more low profile move, or they, you know, do something that's a little bit safer, it's not a good guard cancel. So I mean, just the defensive options that Vanguard has are not anywhere near as good as some of the other characters. And while we're on the subject of not being as good as other characters, let's talk about his awakening and his super. We'll deal with his super first, and then we'll talk about his awakening in a sec. His super, while being, you know, pretty damaging, and honestly I think it's really cool, like, looking to watch at, whatever, I'm keeping that in. That it's really cool to watch, and it's really cool to look at. It is so hard to combo into, and it's so hard to actually use, because it doesn't hit from that far away. It just hits like directly around him, so you have to use a very specific combo in order to get into it. Now, once you learn the combos that you can combo into it with, it's not that hard. But if you're just picking him up and you're used to a ranger or a hitman or even like a dragon knight, the super is just not going to work as well. Now, his awakening, I think, is actually pretty decent. It's not the best in the game by any means, but it's definitely not the worst in the game. You know, adding extra guard break damage is neat, and it can definitely help in certain situations. But having that as a standalone awakening with nothing else attached to it, just you break their guard quicker, that it's just not anything special. And I don't think it's having that as a game plan, especially when you're that low on life, isn't great. Now, yes, it will get you the hit. Like, you're almost guaranteed a hit in 2 combos, like, which you can almost do regularly as a normal combo if you you have the right string and everything and you're willing to burn some conversion. But with the awakening up, you're definitely able to break guard in 2 combos, get some hits, get some conversions, and then just really lay on some damage. So I mean, he is a damage monster whenever he can get the hit. It's just being on the offensive long enough in order to get that hit can be the issue in this game, especially since, you know, his buttons are slower. All right, so we've talked about what's good, what's bad. Now let's talk about ways that we could buff this character and still keep the game plan that they're trying to implement with them, that the creators are looking at him and they're saying, okay, we want this character to be the guard break character, we want this character to be the long range character. So let's look at those and try to keep that in mind. Now, one of the things that I do feel like should happen is that they should buff his frame data. All of his moves are super committal. They take a long time to come out. They either need to increase the amount of active frames on the move so that they hit easier if a character like rolls through them, just so that they, you know, they're a little harder to roll through and punish, because at this point they all have such big recovery that even with your like 5S, if a character rolls through your 5S and you're not going to be able to chain into any of your other S moves quick enough in order to punish him, and that's about all you can do. Or you can throw out your magic button, but even then, like if they roll through and then do a 2A, most characters will roll through, do a 2A. Even if you try to DP it, then you're still going to get blown up because his DP is so bad. So I think that they either need to add more active frames to all of, at least his slashes. If not every button, at least his special moves, his slashes, just add some more active frames to that. And I think that would help out tremendously. Maybe make them a frame or 2 quicker as well. I just think that would do a lot to help him. The big change I think would be expanding the hitbox on his DP. You know, make it hit a little lower, make it hit a little higher. Maybe even if it's just like right around him, so it's, you know, goes all the way down to his feet and just up to his head, and just he turns into like a DP hitbox. I don't know, like balance wise exactly how that would change anything, but it's not any worse than like Inquisitor or Hitman or Troubleshooter's DPs. Like all of their DPs are just like all around you, so I don't feel like having just the body turn into basically a DP, not necessarily like a counter like Crusader or Grapplers, but like an actual DP like it is, but just extend the hurt box or the hit box on it a little bit to where it will, you know, hit all the way to the floor right in front of Vanguard, and maybe just on top of his head, just to keep him safe from people that are literally right on top. I think the following the spear up with the angle, I think that's fine. But yeah, just give him a little bit more protection in those areas, and I think that would be great. Like I said, just right in front of him, just have it hit right in front of him so it can actually hit people. So these next things that I'm going to talk about are more of a wish list and a want than what I think would be necessary to fix the character. I think if you just increase active frames, make his DP a little bit better, speed up his moves just a little bit, I think that will make him golden. I don't think that would, you know, that's not game breaking in any way. Now, some things that I think that might be game breaking, but they're just kind of wish listy, so we can, you know, definitely discuss these in the comments below. I think that if you gave his 4S and 6S 1 tick of armor, I think that would dramatically increase his viability. Just 1 tick. I'm not talking about like 3 ticks like the Grappler has or anything, or super armor like Crusader can get. I'm just talking like 1 tick. When he goes to do his slash, he's got 1 tick of armor. Doesn't have to start up frame 1. It can start up like frame 4, frame 9, whatever. But it just has 1 tick of armor, so it can just kind of take that hit. No, they're okay, they're hitting me, but it's okay because I'm gonna hit them back and then convert into full combo from there. Like I said, that might be a little overdoing it, but I think that giving his, and like I said, just his 4S and his 6S, his 5S no armor, his 2S no armor, but his back one and his forward one, if you give those just 1 tick of armor, or even just the back one, just 1 tick of armor, and boom, I think that helps tremendously. That helps in scramble situations, and that'll help just keep characters off of him and keep them at the range that he likes to play it. So another wish list item would be changing the animation that they use on his guard cancel, changing it from the 2S to the 5S or the 6S, you know, just any one of the more vertical slashes, just to give it some more vertical range, just so it's harder to dodge, I guess is the best way to put it. I can see why they're worried about making it too powerful, but it also uses 100-meter to just get people off of you, and he has issues getting people off of him. So I think by making that a lot better, and by making it just a different animation and making it to where it hits more horizontally, it would just help out the character tremendously. Another wishlist item that I have is making his jump S, where he does his little dive, making that have just a little bit bigger hitbox, because there's a lot of times where they'll be just like a pixel out of where you think that should hit, and it doesn't hit them, and then they can come in full combo, because you can chain that, the JS, into his slashes, but again, his slashes are so slow that if they are just at the right spacing to where it looks like you should hit them, but you don't, you're just getting blown up. Now I know that's a spacing issue, and that's a, you know, it's a player issue, and you can get better about that. But I think by just giving it a little bit bigger hitbox, you would, one, help his combos out, because then you wouldn't have to do as long a dashes for some of his combos, especially if they're hitting at like the max range to get the OTGs, and it would just help to, you know, boost things up a little bit. Now, before we get into the final wish list, there's one more little thing that I think would be neat. His follow-up 6M attack, Behead, I think is what it's called. It will crumple on counter hit. Now, I would like to see that just crumple, period, if it hits, because you have like Ghost Blade that can crumple on basically command. Now, if I'm wrong about that, definitely blow me up in the comments below. And I think there's a couple other characters that just have like crumple on command moves. So I think the follow up to his 6S or 6M, if it hits while they're grounded, I think it should just do it. It should just crumple. Again, that would open up a lot of combo routes for him. That would open up a lot of ability to deal more damage. I think it would just be a neat little change for him. And the last little wish list item that I have for him is to increase the hitbox on his super. It's so anemically small that even if you think there are certain times where you're like, oh, this is gonna hit, and they're just a little bit out of range because they didn't fall back as far as they should have, or they didn't, you pushed them just a little too far forward. So I think it should definitely have like a bigger hitbox to it in order to activate and actually be able to combo into it a little easier. Like I said, it's not super hard to combo into if you know the routes, but there are definitely some times where you're leaving a little bit of damage on the table by using the super, where you could have maybe optimized a little bit more, but in trying to get the more damage on the combo, you're going to drop your super, and so you have to make those decisions, obviously. So I think that would be really cool. Like obviously the big change that would be like a big wish list that I do not see happening is making it full invincible, because it is so small and it just hits around you. Being able to use that as a DP would be fantastic, but I don't ever see them doing that. So that is definitely one of those wish list things that it's just never going to be happening. So guys, that's my current thoughts on the state of Vanguard as he stands from release to, I'd say, about 2.5 weeks out. I love this character. I don't want you to think I don't. He is my main. He is my main for a reason. It feels so satisfying just hitting slash after slash after slash after slash after slash and just like dominating a opponent with just your range. And I don't know, he feels so good for me to play, but I also understand like his big glaring weaknesses that he has. But if you guys have some ideas on how to buff Vanguard, definitely put them in the comments below. And if you're listening this far, you must have liked the video, so go ahead and hit that like button. And if you're returning and you've seen me a couple times but you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You're here anyway, so I mean, you know, there has to be something that I'm saying that you're liking. But anyway guys, that's been it for me. So I've been the Real Agent P. Thank you very much for watching, but most importantly, have a great day.